Hello and welcome. I hope you're doing all you can to help the most vulnerable people in the world. In today's exciting episode, I do some more beading. I finished the sleeves on the Vintage Ladybug jacket, and then I did some hanging flowers on another one. I did actually start to KonMari my beads, but obviously got distracted.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So this shot is even more cropped than usual because there are boxes of beads in the front here. And yeah, so this is what the Vintage Ladybug jacket looked like last time you saw it. Still obsessed with the flowers. I actually found more of these pink and red big plastic vintage daisy flowers. So I'm thinking, like, if I take the ones off that are on the back of here, then I might have enough to do like the top third of a bolero. And so I'm thinking I might do that. Anyway, so this is what it was like. And then I started moving. Oh, you can see the storage boxes of beads. Those ones there are the sequin. So they're not actually heavy boxes, but they are rather big boxes. So I'm putting all my boxes, I had them in sort of smaller cardboard boxes, which I could pick up. But I decided to condense them all back into storage boxes. And then from the storage boxes, I would sort them into colours and put them back into the dozens of different smaller cardboard boxes that I have. But obviously, I got distracted along the way. I was like, well, if I'm actually going to do beading on the sleeves for this one here, then I should do it first, because otherwise I'll be like, I'm putting all the beads, literally all of the bags of beads, into these storage boxes, and they'd all get mixed up and I wouldn't be able to find these beads again. And because I'm just using so many different beads on this one, it's like, a dozen different types of beads in there. So I was like, okay, I'll just finish this and then I'll go back. So last episode I said I've finished this, and if I want to do the beading, what I'm going to have to do is carefully unpick a few of the beige beads over the body of the jacket so that there's enough room to do the string of fringe on each of the cuffs. So I carefully unpicked them and retied off all the strings in the back. And now what I did is, I didn't want to do the fringe because it's a rather complicated fringe. I didn't want to do it under the sleeves. So there's a tiny patch about less than a quarter, just a tiny bit on either side of the center seam, where I've left a certain amount, like a couple of inches, where I'm not going to bead, but the rest of it's beaded. And I only had enough ladybugs to do, 13 on 12. I had 13 on either side, and I had, so that's why I put the pearl pins in there, so I could tell where each ladybug went. And after I did the ladybug row of fringe, then I did a second row of fringe, which had the sort of reddish rose-coloured pearl in it. And so that was another set. And then after those two rows were done, then I went back and did, in between each one of them, so the third set of fringe there's twice as many. And in the bottom of the jacket, I used seed beads, the little round ones, in the third row, or third and fourth row technically. But it would have been too bulky if I'd used them in the sleeves. So I ended up using the bugle beads, which are the long straight ones. And it just looks less. Like if I'd used the bigger, slightly wider, rounder ones, it would have looked too dark and it would have been a little bit too bulky. So they're technically different beads in the sleeves and the base, but I think it looks good. Like from far away, it looks like everything matches. So it's, The sleeve beading is much shorter, but anyway. So then I did do a little bit more rearranging of my beads, but then I came across these butterflies and I was like, oh, I could use these, because I remembered these two jackets. I actually made two jackets out of this fabric using the Vogue pattern 1536 or 1736, something like that. And yeah, so I made these two jackets ages ago. This one has the shorter square neck, and the one that I end up working on has a deeper square neck, and it's closer to the neck as well. Anyway, so I had these orange monarch butterflies, sequins, and I also have these sort of sagey green with a gold finish flower sequins, but the flower sequins are a bit flat. I didn't know that they were fancy enough, so I decided I'll put an orange sequin on top of that. At this point I was like, I'll do one with butterflies and one with flowers. But when I saw the butterflies and flowers together, I was like, ooh, they would look amazing together. So that was my plan at this point. And like the second one, I could just do actual beads, not sequins. Because, yeah, I think the problem here is if I'd done them spaced like this, just in the aqua parts of the print on the fabric, then I think it would have worked out. But what I love about monarch butterflies is the way that they fly like in packs, basically, and they land on the sunny side of a tree all together, and they sort of cram themselves into this tiny, tiny space, you know, the same way swallows or, you know, birds fly in flocks. So I tried to do that effect, but it didn't really work. I think if I'd used bugle beads, because you obviously have to attach each sequin, and I used two bugle beads, purple bugle beads, sort of purpley scarlet bugle beads to do it. And I feel like they're too bulky. They look more like, yeah, I think if I'd used bugle beads, they're thinner and longer instead, then it wouldn't sort of, because the bugle beads are just a little bit too bulky and they catch your eye in the wrong way. So it sort of looks all clumpy, and like if you do calligraphy and there's lots of ink blots on there sort of thing. So then on the other side of the front, I did a sample of hanging flowers, and I was thinking about my Make 9s, because I've only completed 3 out of 9 of my Make 9 jackets for this year. And one of them happens to be a cottage garden. And like I love hanging down flowers, and I was like, oh, I could do a hanging garden. But like I didn't grow up in America, so hanging garden doesn't have, you know, the racial, you know, lynching sort of connotations in the rest of the world. So I was like, there's something wrong with that name. So yeah, it's going to be the hanging flower jacket. And so yeah, I decided, like, I like the way the butterflies are on this back bit here. They're sort of more loosely spaced out, but you can still sort of see that they're in drifts and they're sort of following each other. So I suppose I could have just unpicked the whole of the front and tried to do it again. But at this point, I decided that I like the hanging flower sample. So I was like, okay, I'll do that, but I'll do it in a couple of different colours. So I had these purple ones look really purple, but when you see it in real life, because people sort of move as they breathe and they talk or whatever, you're constantly moving when you wear a jacket. So you can sort of see that the sequin in between each bead is orange. But just looking at it on the mannequin, they look quite purple, but they're sort of very clearly orange and purple. And then the other ones are a sort of sage green with sage green tiny little bugle beads in between. And at this point I was worried about there wouldn't be enough weight because it's just sequins. So I had some other beads that I'd kept out. They're sort of a purpley dark magenta scarlet colour. These ones are glass with a sort of metallic sheen on them, and I also have some larger plastic ones even though they're plastic, they're quite large, so they would have been heavy enough. And I could have done a fringe, and I had some orange ones that I could have, you know, made it an elaborate fringe around the whole thing. But I don't know. I don't think hanging flowers and fringe go together. So I think I'll do this one just, I decided that 2 types of hanging flowers probably wasn't going to be enough. Like, I could do these on most of the jacket, but then it would probably be good if I had another couple of types of flowers to dot in between, just to break it up, because I didn't want it to look like just all the same thing. So then because I've got a massive bag of these tiny little green, well, it's not that it's a massive bag, but these tiny green bugle beads are so small that the bag that I have is like there's thousands in there. So that's why I came up with these extra 2 types of floral designs. So most of the jacket is going to be covered in the green and the orange sequin and purple bead, those 2 designs. But then in between, once I've done those 2, cover the whole jacket in those 2, I'll go around and dot these other 2 in between, just to sort of break it up and make it look more unique. So yes, that's the problem all my jackets have. They're just not unique enough. No, but I wanted it to look like a cottage garden for one thing, which is how I came up with this design here. I actually, those tiny little orange gold flowers on the end of each of the stems, they're leftovers from the pineapple jacket that I made about a year ago. So yeah, it's really cool. I've got enough of them to do little clumps all over. I really like the idea of doing a cottage garden jacket that's just sequins. Like, it will take so long to do. So then I went away and I decided to do the orange sequin, use up the orange sequin first, because I just had this one tiny packet of them. And I actually I got the whole of the front done and the 2 sleeves done, and a tiny little bit at the top of the back done as well. But then I ran out of them, which was a total pain. So yeah, and then I went through both boxes of sequins, because I've got 2 storage boxes of sequins, all different, you know, packets of sequins, and I went through them and I don't have any more metallic orange sequins, which just seems phenomenal to me. 2 big storage boxes full of different types of sequins, and I'm using up all the orange ones. I do have some really tiny orange ones left, which I'm going to use the front and center one. Those are really tiny orange ones. So I did use some of them on the back. Anyway, I just found it impressive that I've actually used up all of one thing. So then I have to move on to the other things. But yeah, I mean, it's one tiny packet, but still, I'm using up my beads and sequins. I guess if I want to use up the bulk of reduce the bulk of my bead collection, the best strategy would be to do designs that use really big beads. So, yeah. Anyway, getting off the topic, because as I said, because I'm doing such tiny detailed beading work with these sequins, I took breaks every now and again and sort of moved around some more beads. So I still haven't finished collecting them all into storage containers. I've still got a few empty storage containers waiting to be filled with, all the various boxes of cardboard boxes, because like glass beads are quite heavy and I want to be able to get the beads out, go through the box, find the ones I want. Whereas when they were in storage boxes, because I did a KonMari of them years ago now, and I had them in just 11 different storage boxes, and plus the sequins was somewhere else, and the expensive fragile beads were in drawers somewhere else as well. But it was a reasonably good system. But then I sort of just got lazy. Well, I had long COVID and had bouts of, fatigue, but I still kept trying to work. So at some points I was like, I'd photograph something and then I'd just put the stuff back in any box because I was just so tired I had to have a little lie down. Now, years later of just getting into the habit of just putting beads back anywhere instead of carefully dividing them back out into the different colours and putting them back in the storage box with the right colour. They're all mixed together. So yes, I'm putting all the bead collection into storage boxes, and then I'm going to work out which one, because I've got loads of green beads, so I'll need to separate them into like 5 different boxes of khaki green, pale green, sage green, dark green, but I don't know what size box I'll need for each one, so I need to sort of put everything into storage boxes first. Oh, and at this point I decided to take another break from the orange. You can see here I sort of ran out the bit above the orange triangle. I ran out of the sequins. So and then I decided that I wanted to use like a fishing net thing for the triangle on the back of this one, and I can't decide whether I like it or not. So it's just, I had a bag of onions and I took out the onions obviously, and I used the plastic net thing, and I've also got some from bags of oranges, and I've been collecting loads of them over the past few months. I've got ones in red and ones in orange, and I really like the orange one for this, but I can't decide whether, I sort of like how 3-dimensional it is, but I don't know. And obviously it's just pinned into place at the moment, because I could take it off and just cut out a triangle and make it just one layer, because at the moment it's like some sections are like 5 layers, and it's all sort of, it's like when they take their fishing boat out to fish, and then they bring back in the line, and it's sort of, before they wind it neatly on the where they keep it, it's all a messy bulk. Well, it's supposed to look like that, but I don't know. I like it, but I'm not sure if it's too bulky. Like, I don't want to look like a hunchback, but I do conceptually like it. So I might take this one off, use a little scrap and see what it looks like with just one layer, and see which one I prefer. So anyway, I didn't have time to finish the jacket, obviously, because this type of beading is so tiny and so detailed and takes forever. And this is where I went searching for some more orange metallic sequins, which unfortunately I did not find. But yeah, literally 2 storage. Well, they're not full storage boxes. I did find more of the gold. These are the ones left over from when I made the pineapple jacket. So yeah, I decided that on the back I'm going to use them, still use some more strings of those purpley looking beads and seed beads, and I'm going to stick one of these at the end. So it's different than how I've used them on the fronts, but I think it will work. So yeah. Oh, and these are the gummy bears. I think I told you that last December I took this gorgeous but very heavy and bulky beaded trim off. Oh, here she is. I went searching for footage and I got loads of different bits of footage. So yes, be ready for some show and tell. I mean, every video I ever make is basically just show and tell. But anyway, I call it documenting my beading and jacket making. But anyway, this is the pink Monet jacket, and the colours on the beaded trim were inspired by the silk that I used on the lining, which is absolutely divine. And yeah, so these are all the beads, because it was gorgeous, but it was too bulky. And I was just like, if I take this off and pull it apart and reuse the beads and make something smaller or in different colours, I will I'll just wear the jacket more because it's an absolutely gorgeous tweed from Linted Tweeds. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So that's what the gummy bears are for. And also I thought I'd show you the pineapple jacket in case you don't know it. I think I put it on shorts earlier this week, and it's got tiny little pineapple beads hanging off the back, and the whole of the jacket is supposed to look like an actual pineapple. And then I also found some footage of my everything I made in April, which, yeah, I got a little bit carried away with all the different vintage style necklines, which is how I ended up with these 2 aqua jackets with flowers and butterflies on them, which I'm now beading. So anyway, that's what I have the gummy bears for. I'm going to redo the beaded trim on that pink fluffy jacket. But yes, I couldn't find any more sequins. So yeah, this is where this one is at the moment. There's another little clump on the side there, and that one's there's some tiny orange sequins in there, but in the end I was like, you can't really see them. Some tiny plastic orange ones, which you can see, but I only have like a handful of them. Well, not even, like just a couple of dozen of them. And yeah, so I'm just going to use strings of the purplish beads with the goldy orange one at the end. And, oh, actually, I've got some brown sequins. Maybe, no, I don't think they'd work. Anyway, so that's what it looks like at the moment. And I thought I'd get out this one again because it was just sitting there. And yeah, I really like these sleeves. I kind of do like the jacket the way it was when it didn't have beaded sleeves, but I think, I don't know, it looks more complete this way, I guess. And if I decide that I would wear it more if it just didn't have the beads on the sleeves, I couldn't take them off again. But I think it was good to do the beading because, yeah, I really like the way, like I've used almost completely different they're done in a different way. The beading on the sleeves is so much shorter. It's about half the length of the bottom fringe, but they look the same, but they're completely different designs. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Not sure about the design feature on the back now because, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I have, as I said, I've discovered more flowers of the same varieties, and yeah, I can do, like, I've now got enough to do a design on a whole different jacket, so I might carefully take them off and use maybe the leftover beads from the fringing that I did on that one and do the triangle, like the design feature on the back out of that maybe. Anyway, so I still have this hanging flower jacket to do, but I'm also thinking about what I'm going to do next. On the rack, like the last jackets I made were 2 dark green jackets out of suiting, and I've turned one into the forage jacket, this one with foliage all over it. And then I also made 4 red faux leather jackets, and I've done 3 of those. I've done 2 floral ones, 1 floral bead, 1 floral flowers, and 1 that's got strawberry pendants, like kids' necklace pendants, strawberries. I bought loads of them, and I turned that into a Lego looking jacket. And so I've got 1 red one left and 1 dark green one left. And as I've been finding all my beads, I've also come across a lot more foliage and a lot more flowers. So I'm thinking maybe another foliage jacket, or maybe the Comme des Garçons version idea for the last red jacket. I suppose I should just focus on my make dines because I only have a few more months to finish them. I think if I can get 3 finished in September, including this one as if it counts as the cottage garden one, then yeah, if I get 3 finished in September, then I'll have October and November to finish the other 3. So I think that will be manageable. I think the vintage brooch jacket like the brooch, the jacket covered in brooches. I think I'll save that till last because it's technically probably the most difficult. Anyway, that's what I've been up to this week, thinking about my make nines and the order I should try to get them done in. You don't actually have to make all your make nines. They're supposed to just inspire you, and they've definitely done that. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for watching, and happy sewing and beading.